सलाम पाकिस्तान, मैं हूं इफ्तिखार फिरदौस और आप देख रहे हैं बॉर्डर टॉक्स। नाजरीन, जहां इजराइल और ईरान की जंग ने मशरिक वस्ता के अंदर एक गैर मामूली सूरत हाल खड़ी कर दी है, अब इस जंग में सिर्फ इजराइल नहीं बल्कि उनके इत्तेहादी भी जो है वो कूद पड़े हैं। लेकिन दूसरी तरफ पाकिस्तान और अमरीका के ताल्लुकात में भी मजीद बेहतरी आ रही है। इस टाइम पर एक आला वफद जो है वो अमरीका के अंदर मौजूद है और बहुत सारे अहम उमूर पर जो है वो बात हो रही है। प्रोग्राम के पहले हिस्से में हम अमरीका के विजिट के हवाले से और अमरीका और पाकिस्तान के जो ताल्लुकात हैं उसके हवाले से बात करेंगे। हमें ज्वाइन करेंगे पहले हिस्से के अंदर जनाब स्कॉट कैली साहब, जो एक थिंक टैंक चलाते हैं और इन मामलात पर काफ़ी गहरी नज़र रखते हैं। और दूसरे हिस्से के अंदर हम बात करेंगे इजराइल और ईरान की जंग पर, जहां अंकारा से हमें ज्वाइन करेंगे यूसुफ अल बरादा। स्कॉट, देयर हैज बीन अ ट्रेमेंडस breaking of ice between Pakistan and the US in recent times. Firstly, in terms of the recent geostrategic changes within the Middle East as well as in Southeast Asia, this closeness actually indicates a larger partnership. I'd like to shed some light in terms of what this actually means for this relationship.
Sure. So one of the key changes in the US-Pakistan relationship is that we're moving beyond what defined it by default during the global war on terror, which was America's presence in Afghanistan. Both the new U.S. regime and new regimes in Pakistan have shown an interest in changing the nature of U.S.-Pakistani relations, focusing more on mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreements.
Counterterrorism remains at the heart of this cooperation, Scott. And we've seen that President Trump praising the Pakistani military leadership as well as the country in general about the successes against groups like the Islamic State of Khorasan. I mean, is CT still the foundation for it and the rest of it is like an overlap around it? Or do we see this completely a paradigmatic shift from what kind of relationship we've had in the last 2 decades?
So right now, counterterrorism still is a key foundation of the U.S.-Pakistani relationship, but we do see that beginning to change. Donald Trump's administration is much more focused on great power competition, although he rhetorically likes anyone who stands up and goes after terrorist organizations. It's not actually a priority for his administration to support. There also is a long history of cooperation between the U.S. and Pakistani militaries. Given the dynamic nature of Pakistani politics and how domestic political regimes can change so quickly, that stable relationship between the two militaries has been one of the safest forms of continued communication between the countries. But going forward, we can't expect to see that change as U.S. priorities shift.
But one of the priorities that has been mentioned repeatedly is about reciprocal tariffs, bringing that down and increasing the quantum of trade. Do you see that happening anytime soon because of the recent visits as well as the presence of senior Pakistani military leadership in DC right now?
There's certainly an opportunity for it. The question is going to be how quickly can the Trump administration actually reach a deal with Pakistan. Unfortunately, as far as U.S. trade partners go, there just isn't that much bilateral trade between the U.S. and Pakistan compared to other larger nations, which might mean Pakistan gets put on the back burner for the Trump administration as they look to the current war between Israel and Iran and the potential U.S. involvement there, and then also trade deals with larger countries.
There's also a part of it, and we've seen a larger U.S. role emerging during the Pakistan and India conflict. We've seen Pakistan welcome and reciprocate that, but we haven't seen the same from the Indian side as well. I mean, this morning there was a statement by the Indian Foreign Secretary of him not meeting Modi and Modi not actually going to DC to actually join these talks, despite the fact that according to them there was a phone call that was made between them. How is that going to be balanced, the India-Pakistan relationship within the US foreign policy?
Well, India and Pakistan are both in very different geostrategic positions. It's unclear what the administration's policy vis-a-vis Afghanistan is. It hasn't been top of mind in the news or a focus for the Trump administration. It is curious to see that the Trump administration has lifted sanctions on the current Syrian regime despite its terrorist origins, which opens up the possibility for the U.S. normalizing relationships with the current Taliban regime.
But in terms of the larger security dynamics emerging, what would be the impact of this relationship and what kind of decisions would Pakistan have to make in accordance to you, how UN's foreign policy is now being stretched on the newer developments that's taking place between Israel and Iran, and particularly the Middle East as well?
Well, I think for Pakistan, two areas that you can focus on with cooperating with the United States is, one, the continued relationship between our two militaries and focusing on the counterterrorism fight. The other one is being a good trade partner and adopting policies that would be attractive to the Trump administration. Whether or not you can use that to reach a deal with the Trump administration to meaningfully impact, which I believe there are currently 29% tariffs that have been placed on Pakistan, it remains to be seen. We just don't have a lot of case studies to look at with the Trump administration and how they're actually making deals.
Thank you very much for your time, Scott. I'll just talk for our viewers in terms of what actually Scott meant. नाज़रीन, स्कॉट ने ये बात की कि जो पाकिस्तान के जो मसाइल हैं और ख़ुसूसी तौर पर जो दहशतगर्दी के मसाइल हैं, उसमें जो सबसे बड़ा इशू जो आ रहा है, पाकिस्तान को वेस्टर्न एलाइज पर जो है वो रिलायंस की ज़रूरत जो है वो पड़ेगी आगे। और ये जिस तरह पाकिस्तान अपने आप को और अपनी फॉरेन पॉलिसी को रीअलाइन करेगा अमेरिका के मफादात को मद्देनज़र रखते हुए, उसी पर ही डिपेंडेंट है कि आगे जो ख़ित्ते के अंदर सिचुएशन बनती हुई जा रही है उसके पाकिस्तान पर जो है वो कैसे असरात होंगे। नाज़रीन, इस टाइम हुआ है एक ब्रेक का, और ब्रेक के बाद जो है हम वापस आएंगे तो इजराइल और ईरान के अंदर जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है उस पर मज़ीद बात करेंगे। हमारे साथ रहिएगा। Thank you very much for joining us from Ankara, Yusuf, and taking out the time. Doctor, I wanted to ask you about the current situations and developments in Iran at this particular time. We've been hearing that the arsenal of the ballistic missiles, if you look at how the way that the war started and how it is now, that's running low. At the same time, we do see that the Israeli attacks on Iran are becoming more and more intensified, and now even allies have actually asked for the support. What does that mean for the Iranian people? Also, if there is a refugee crisis that is looming now, what are the future implications for the people in Iran at this time?
Yeah, we can see that Israel and Iran are attacking each other. One of them is attacking mostly with the ballistic missiles, while Israel is bombing. After bombing its air defense systems, which is very free over the skies of the Iran. For that reason, that will continue for a couple of days, but I do not think that it will go like this more than a week. The implications, will Israel become able to deter Iran having a nuclear weapon? I don't think so, unless United States participate, because the nuclear facilities which Iran is operating is under the ground, and Israel has not enough power to penetrate under the ground. For that reason, United States is very important in order to eliminate the nuclear facilities of
cluster
Iran
bombs that we keep on hearing, the cluster bombs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Without the cluster bombs and strategic bombers and the tanker planes, Israel will not be able to penetrate to the underground facilities of the Iran. For that reason, in the next coming days, we will be able to see if United States will participate or not. But as far as I can get from the open source intelligence, Netanyahu directly threatening Trump administration, if they do not help, they will use nuclear weapons in order to eliminate the nuclear facilities of Iran, which is a big disaster, especially in terms of huge refugee flow to the neighboring countries, including Turkey.
Yeah. So, if this is a big if the U.S. becomes part of it, we know that the U.S. would be using its forward bases mostly based out of the Middle East. Do you see Iran actually going after them because they are based in all Muslim countries? That would sort of create an enormous situation which would totally go out of hand.
Yeah, when the conflict started in any part of the world, no one can guarantee it will stay on the spot. So it will spread. It might be spreading all over the region, including Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. In case Iran retaliate the U.S. bases, and during this retaliation, if Iran also bombs those countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq, that can start also a regional conflict. For that reason, no one can guarantee, because no one was knowing that during the First World War, there will be a huge World War after the Archduke Ferdinand was killed in the Sarajevo.
Yeah, yeah.
So that may trigger.
So the way that the situation is developing, I mean, although it's creating jitters across the globe, but regionally it's becoming a problem. We've seen, Muslim countries in particular, the OIC and its the member states, coming and condemning the attack on Iran. If a situation develops in which Israel's Western allies actually move, because we know that it doesn't look like a possibility, and as you've also mentioned, that a regime change, which is obviously desired outcome out of this entire conflict, cannot happen without boots on ground. What would be the reaction of other nation states, particularly Muslim countries in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I should clearly declare that if there is a Muslim countries, I'm not sure, but without no doubt there are Muslims, alhamdulillah. But Muslim countries, especially in the Middle Eastern region, as the new ambassador of United States to Turkey declared a couple of days ago, are the outproducts of Sykes-Picot Agreement, which was drawn 100 years ago. For that reason, it is another story, but there is a strong reaction from the Muslim population of the countries, especially for the Gaza, and there will be also for the Iran. Iran lost its legitimacy, especially during the Syrian internal war, because without no mercy, Qasem Soleimani and his comrades killed innocent people inside Syria and in the Middle East. But again, if Israel attacks Iran, Iran will again gain its legitimacy in the Middle East. For that reason, if Israel attacks Iran, without no doubt, it will gain legitimacy. But a regime change without boots on the ground, as you have said, is impossible. For that reason, I do not think that there will be a regime change. Netanyahu's call over the Iranian people has no effect, because Netanyahu a couple of days ago said that our enemy is the same. We are both together against to the Iranian regime, so uprise them. But I don't think that the Iranians will listen a murderer for uprising. The only idea in their mindset is to bring the Shah again, because the son of Reza Shah a couple of months ago was in Israel, in the Jerusalem. So taken all the orders what he can take from Tel Aviv. Again, supporting Shah family to return to Iran means that they will establish a puppet state again, which is very friendly with Israel.
Yeah.
The meaning is that.
One last question before I leave you, Yusuf. We've seen that Iran in the past had two major strategic allies, and there was an understanding and agreements as well. One was Russia and the other one was China. With Russia, it has almost a 25 years agreement. With China, it has almost a 20 years agreement. We haven't seen much of a reaction in terms of kinetics coming in from both countries. Do you think that if in any possible scenario where you have boots on ground, this would change?
If boots on the ground, on the Iranian soil, belongs to the Americans and the Israelis, no doubt China and Russia will be on the ground also. But what I can say, why Russia and China is so silent, especially since 5 days, I think that Russia also does not want Iran, which is having a nuclear weapon. Also, Russia also may consider that a nuclear power of Iran is a threat for the Russia himself. For that reason, Russia might not be wanting Iran to enrich uranium to 90%, which is very close now, 60%. That might be the main reason. The second issue is that although China and Iran has good relations with each other, Iran neglected China's power and defense industry and didn't procure China's complex warplanes and air defense systems enough.
And we
have seen this effect. What is the meaning of what I am saying now? Building good relations with China in the India-Pakistan conflict in the recent war.
So, and we've seen that Iran's aerial capabilities as well as its S-300 defense system has not been able to actually counter on whatever is happening. But one last question: do you think that that there is going to be a political solution? Because what we're hearing around at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to have a very, very happy scenario in the near future.
I think that there might be a solution because the Iranian leaders are very capable of making U-turns in the critical moments, like in 2015. So I think that in the next coming hours, there might be a peace table that Iran may give up all its ambitions about nuclear weapons in order to protect its regime.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf. Thank you for giving us time. नाज़रीन, आपने बात सुनी, आपने तज्ज़िया जो है सुना यूसुफ साहब का, जो बता रहे थे कि मशरिक़ वुस्ता के अंदर जो सिचुएशन डेवलप हो रही है, अगर तो इज़राइल और उसके एलाइज़ जो है वो मशरिक़ वुस्ता के बेसिस से जो है ईरान को अटैक करते हैं, तो फिर जो बड़े पावर्स रीजनल हैं जिसमें चाइना और रूस भी हैं, अगर तो कोई फौजी कार्रवाई होती है ज़मीन पर, तो ये दोनों ममालिक भी खामोश नहीं रहेंगे. लेकिन उसके बरक्स यूसुफ साहब का ये ख्याल है कि इसका एक पॉलिटिकल सोल्यूशन जो है अभी भी दरकार है, और जो काफ़ी मुमकिन है कि अगर ये सिचुएशन जो है ऐसी बनती है जिसमें मज़ीद एस्केलेशन होती है, इसका कोई ना कोई हल जो है वो पॉलिटिकल ज़रूर निकल के आएगा. गुफ्तगू आपने सुनी, उम्मीद है आपको पसंद आई होगी, और हमें अपने फीडबैक से जो है वो खुसूसी तौर पर जो है वो आगाह करें कि आप किस किस्म के टॉपिक्स जो है वो सुनना चाहते हैं. ईरान और इजराइल पर हमारी जो है गुफ्तगू अगले प्रोग्राम्स में भी जारी रहेगी. अभी तक के लिए हमें इजाज़त दीजिए. शुक्रिया.